My initial thought was this is a game changer. I'm Stewart Ward with Dioptra in Southeast Idaho in the United States. We're a surveying only firm and no engineering, but we kind of dabble in all aspects of surveying and geomatics. The business has been around for about 20 years, but I took over about 8 years ago.
Tell me a little bit about what you were experiencing before you started working with us.
Well, most of our business was just like word of mouth or previous like repeat clients kind of thing. That was a lot of it. And it felt like we were just kind of, at least I felt like we were growing, but very slowly. And so I was trying to find a way to grow maybe a little bit faster, but not too fast. And I've always thought that in the past, even before I took over Dioptra, I always thought that surveyors lacked on marketing, because there is a niche, like you're only calling a surveyor if you help, right? If you need something, but there's got to be a way to push at least your business. Like if somebody needs a survey, fine, but push your business and figure out why they should call you over the guy next door, kind of a thing. And so but I never knew how to do that. And then I found you through Get Kids in the Survey, and then the GMA, and here we are. So
yeah, that Get Kids in the Survey, it gets everywhere.
yeah.
That's like, you're also a sponsor, aren't you, with Get Kids in the Survey?
Oh, we are, yeah.
So when you came across GMA, what were your initial thoughts, fears, worries, and interests?
Ooh, my initial thought was this is a game changer. Honestly, because there's as you go through the classes, you know, it's apparent that surveyors are not marketers. We have no clue how to do this. But at least for me, learning it and going through everything, it's definitely opened my eyes. But even that initial call with you, Elaine, at the beginning before I signed up, I was like, this can completely change business if we do it right. But I was also terrified to do it, honestly, because I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what the time commitment was going to be, what the outcome was going to be, if I was actually going to be able to implement what I was learning, which I still struggle with. But those were initial thoughts and still fears. I'm still afraid.
The thing is, you're tackling it. It's like feel the fear and do it anyway. So you're tackling it. Everybody gets out their comfort zone. It's like, right, if I don't know that, I need to know that. Or if I don't like something, it's because I don't know it.
Right.
Definitely. Okay. Well, I like the honesty. I think this is good. So what are or were some of the most important things you hope to learn from taking the course?
There was a lot of things I was hoping to learn. And some of it I'm still learning, and that's how to what's the word? How to pinpoint or focus the marketing to a certain group of people or a certain client or a certain market, you know. And I'm still learning how to do that and trying to figure that out. I did buy that book, The Buyer Persona. Yeah. And I'm only about 75 pages into it, but because I have to read it slow because I'm trying to comprehend everything. But that's probably the biggest thing, is just knowing what type of marketing to do other than just posting something online, and then how to focus that to the right market and the right client.
And have you delegated any of the work to your colleagues?
So far, no.
Okay. Okay. Is there
I'm
a
trying to wrap my head around it first.
That's all right. You're doing a good job. Okay. So, what have you achieved so far that sticks out, made an impact? Even the littlest.
So far, the biggest thing so far is I've gotten into a routine of posting, which I wasn't before. We had our Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook pages for personal plus business ones, but I never posted anything because I didn't think anything was relevant until I took the class, and then I think in one of the modules, it doesn't really matter what you post, just post. And maybe one of the Q&As, I can't remember, but that was kind of an eye opener for me. It's like you just got to push stuff out there.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be perfect every time, which is what I thought before.
You joined a live Q&A and we ended up talking about, there was a road, you were doing some work survey on a road, and you did some posts and you had all the pictures in one post, and we talked about stringing them out a little bit and actually talking about the different buyers in that journey. That was a change then. And I don't know if that was a pivot point then, but you did change the way you started to post, because it came less salesy, like, buy from us, to more actually conversational.
Right.
So that was
I think that, and then one of the modules, it talked about that. I think I redid the module that talked about that after our conversation. And that helped a lot to know what, or how to focus it a little bit better. And so that was a pivot point for sure.
So how have you managed your time with GMA and learning?
At first I was trying to find time to do it, and I could never find time. And then it was a Q&A, I think it was just you and me and Levin. And we talked about the same thing, time management, how to figure out what to do. And so I took, I think it's 2 hours every Friday. I tried to every Friday morning. And I just closed my door and just focused on it for an hour and a half to 2 hours, and just go through the classes and the worksheets and try to wrap my head around everything. And then that's usually the time that I try to plan my posts for the next week too, my social media stuff, and get it on scheduled up through Hootsuite and get it going. That's kind of my time. As long as I don't have a project that's pressing that drags me away, but that's usually my time to do that. Yeah. Which has helped a lot. I've made a lot more progress in the last couple of months by doing that than I was the last 6 months before that. So
yeah. What advice would you give others?
I would I would say that if you're a survey manager or a owner operator of a survey company, you have to set aside that time, like schedule it, block it out, because if not, you'll get inundated with employees and clients and phone calls and all that stuff, and you'll never have the time to do it if you're trying to do it during normal business hours and not nights and weekends with family getting in the way and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay.
That would be my biggest suggestion for anybody coming on. Just focus on time. Set it aside.
Yeah. There was somebody had said the other day, I think we've all got the same time on the planet, even Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk. So if these guys can be like multi-billionaires, Musk, we'd be able to get these little businesses moving and progressing forward. Right. So yeah, definitely. So what did you expect to gain from learning the curriculum?
Like I mentioned earlier, just understanding how to market surveying on my own without hiring a dedicated marketer, and understanding what people are looking for and what I can do better. Because I do believe, and I think in one of the latest ones, but I even heard this before, that all of us are marketers of our company, whether we know it or not. The the owner, the marketer, if they have one, all the employees, we're all marketers in some way, and understanding how that affects other people and how we can leverage that is a big thing. And I think I've learned that a little bit so far.
Can you explain how you manage the curriculum? We talked about time, but how do you manage it? What do you do? How do you do it?
Right now, like, how do I go through the classes?
Yeah.
Well, what I do is I watch the video, and then I'll download the worksheets first, and then kind of watch the videos, and then follow along on the worksheet with the video, and then I'll take, like, maybe the next week, or after I watch the video, take the next hour or something and try to do it on my own.
Yeah.
But there are some that I have to rewatch the video like 3 or 4 times to understand what's going on. And that's how I do it, is I watch it first and then try to implement it, and I kind of stay on that one module or that one subject for a little while until I feel like I have a decent grasp of it.
Yeah.
And then do my best to try to implement that.
Yeah.
But I will tell you that there are some assignments, if you will, that I've kind of skipped over. I haven't, like the client interviews, I haven't done those yet. Mostly because another time issue for me. Trying to find the time to call or pick which clients to talk to. But
that will open your eyes. That will open your eyes.
Well, and that's what I'm kind of afraid of it too, because I don't know what they're going to say. Because I honestly don't want to pick, like, only my good clients to do the interview with, right?
Correct. Yeah.
You don't get a good feel of both sides, and so it's trying to figure out the good clients and the mediocre clients, and then the ones that maybe don't like us or I don't like.
Yeah.
Kind of to talk to and see what kind of feedback you get.
Yeah. Even if, like, you do like a very small interview, you can do an email interview where they just answer, say, 10 questions. And like we did one with one of our other clients, and they actually had a drone Lego set as the prize. So everybody doing it. So they went into a hat and then they pulled out the Lego set. Everybody wanted the Lego set. So, and it's quite good just to get those 10 questions. What do you think of this? Tick box this. So you have a bit of an open questions and a tick box. So.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I didn't think about just emailing it to them.
Yeah, so you can do both. You can do the phone interviews, or you can get a third party to do the phone interviews. So you can even use family members to do the because all you're doing is just getting the feedback. You can do then the emails, and can do it through MailChimp. Just pick a random load of customers and go, right, I want to email these 100 customers, send it out. They can all go into a draw to win a Lego set. Which
that's not a good idea.
Yeah, and it's just great feedback that will give you for then changing and tweaking things that you're probably not necessarily aware of. So there you go. There's a tip in there as well.
Yeah. And I'm assuming from your experience, is there like a sweet spot on the number of questions, or is it just more of a quantity or quality over quantity kind of thing?
You can do both. So usually the quality questions, 5 to 10 is usually the sort of the sweet spot, I would say, because some people can't be bothered to fill them in. But having a little teaser like a Lego set always helps. And if there's not too many, 5 minutes of your time, go through this list, and you have a mixture of tick box and a mixture of open questions where they have to put in some thoughts. So it's making sure you don't have too many open-ended questions. Yeah. But that's a cracker to get some good feedback, and you're like, oh, I didn't know that. You'll be very surprised, because even I still do it, and I'm like, oh, I didn't get that impression. What were some of your best lessons?
Module 4 was probably the most eye-opening for me, because that is the one that talks about your audience and how to pinpoint that, which, like I said at the beginning, was really kind of one of my key focuses on taking the class, is knowing how to do that. And so that, and I think I bought the buyer persona book after I did that class, for that module. But that one was a really good one, I thought. And just knowing how to do it, and understanding, one, how the social media deals with your posts and the algorithms a little bit, but just from our side, creating that content and knowing how to focus it was probably the most eye-opening for me.
Yeah. So that was the content module, wasn't it? That explained influencers right through to the content in the journey.
Yeah, because I think that's the first one that talks about the customer journey.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. So that is also my favorite. That and the sales funnel. I like the sales funnels. Okay.
I've done that one. I should have done that one by now, shouldn't I?
Yeah, that was the last module 8.
Oh, yeah.
Your landing pages.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's good. So how did they change the way you did things previously?
Well, previously, like I said earlier, it was just, I gotta have the right picture, the perfect picture, the perfect content, and it has to be that way before I post it. And I was only posting maybe once a month, if I was lucky. And so knowing that it's just getting it out there, and 1 or 2 pictures is okay, and a little blurb is okay, instead of this big long explanation of what you did and why every time. And it's not time consuming, as time consuming to create that as I thought it was, or as it was before, because it was more of a burden before.
Yeah.
And now, because I understand it a little more, it's a little bit more enjoyable, I guess, which is kind of weird. I never thought I'd enjoy posting on social media, but I do now.
So how does that make you feel?
Good. It makes me feel like I learned something.
Yeah.
And just from that aspect, at least for me, when I got to that point, that realization that this isn't rocket science, the class was 100% worth it at that point, for me at least, because it was just a refocus of or not a refocus, but a realization that what I assumed on posting social media and marketing was not necessarily true. Our company page and my personal page, at least on LinkedIn, have gotten a lot more followers or connections, or whatever you want to call them. But when we go to survey conferences, like our state survey conferences or meetings and stuff, I always get feedback from other surveyors like, hey, I really enjoy your posts, or man, you're posting a lot, and you must be doing something different or something like that. And I probably back in February when we had our state, maybe it was March, I don't remember when it was. Yeah. Our state survey conference, I probably heard that 3 or 4 times a day from different people. and which makes me feel good that at least people are seeing it.
Yeah.
Locally, and not just all my other connections that are out there.
Yeah. So it'll be really interesting when you do your research on your customers to see if they have also seen a difference.
Oh, true.
Yeah. Because then this is where then we connect it to the sales. Like, you know, when you get future sales, why did they choose you over Joe Blogg Surveyors down the road?
Right.
Oh, well, I trust this guy because he's always explaining what he does. Can you put anything like with the results side of it, with the stats? You talked about a little bit more about the stats. Have you got premium on LinkedIn then, or not? I can't remember. No. Okay. Because premium is very good at giving you the actual exposure and who's looking.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's also
So all I can see is the impressions, the number of impressions, and then obviously the reactions.
Yeah. And what about have you launched a newsletter?
I have not. No.
Okay. So that'll be another thing you can do.
Yeah, that's one of those things. So we actually did one. We used to do one through Constant Contact, like quite a few years ago, but it only lasted about 6 months because we, maybe it was a year, I don't remember, but we had a lot of people just like drop off. Mm-hmm. And so we didn't think it was beneficial anymore. And then we were struggling to find the content to put in there. And so we just stopped doing it. But that was probably 10, 12 years ago when we were doing that.
Yeah. So educational content pieces are really good. So explaining how you do something, it's not so bad. Don't worry so bad if people unsubscribe. You want the right people, so you want the quality. So if your open rate's high, so anything 35% open rate and above is very good. So we've been looking at some of the stats with our clients this morning, and they're getting 56 to 63% open rate, which is unheard of.
Wow.
That is unheard of. And when I spoke to the publishers about it, what their open rates are, they said, wow, that's really good. Very niche, very focused, specific clients and targeting on that buyers. So yeah, definitely worth adding into your bucket list to put on for the content generation, because that's great for nurturing your potential customers.
Is it your other customers, are they doing monthly or quarterly?
Monthly.
Monthly?
Yeah. And they don't need to be long. So if there's a specific like topic that's popped up that your customers have got a problem with, like this is how we do X, Y, Z, this is how we do this. Some top tips for you to get prepared for your surveyor.
Oh, gotcha.
Like that, educational content. And then you can also have then little bits in there that are more salesy operation, or like inquire about this or whatever. But keeping it as educational, you keep people's interest, but it's focusing on that problem.
I think the one that got the most traction through or on LinkedIn at least was one I posted about some of the historical survey monuments in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, that one.
I think that one had the most impressions and the most likes or reactions, I guess. And I don't know why, because it wasn't necessarily like business related, but it was very educational for a lot of people. Maybe that's why it was so interesting to people. But
yeah, okay, that's fine. Would you say you have more direction now?
Oh yeah, 100%. 100% more direction.
What's one thing you'd share with others who are currently where you were before?
I would tell them if they can to sign up for your class. I tell everybody about your class, honestly. But if that's not in their finances or whatever, then some of the books or some of the other materials that are out there that are key to not just marketing in general and understanding how that works. But if they can, GMA is 100% worth it.
That's the validation right there. Can you give me some examples of how and what GMA has helped you achieve in the business?
Well, obviously, because of the marketing side, GMA has helped me, or made me, I guess, forced me to look at clients a little bit different, because they're not just a one-time client. Like, even those that I anticipated probably one-time clients, I've kind of forced myself to not think of them that way, and think of them as a potential repeat client and how we can better support them or better help them in the future on maybe another problem or another survey issue, and build those relationships better personally, but also through social media and through client or through employees and all that too.
Yeah.
Because even though the GMA is focused on, I guess I think focused more on like the social media side to a certain degree, because you're looking at, or you got to think of your markets and your buyer personas and your clients and how they're going to react to you or what they want to know from you. Your day-to-day conversations with them change a little bit too. The tone or the topics change slightly because you're now going through like real world marketing, what I would call it,
Yep.
or real time marketing versus static marketing, which would be your social media stuff.
Yeah. Have you got an example to share?
Of course, you'd ask me that.
Cool. You should know me by now.
I know. I know. I wasn't ready to give an example though, is the problem. Well, I think just like some of my clients that are repeat clients,
Yep.
Even when they call with a question or an issue, it's explaining to them, what or why we have to do a certain thing to solve their problem or to get them what they really want. And sometimes it's not necessarily you need to pay me to do the survey. It's, well, let's think about these other things that are going on, and maybe you don't really need a survey.
Yeah.
Which I tell people that all the time. I'm like, I'll talk you out of the survey if I have to. I don't want to take your money just to take your money.
Then it'll build trust. They'll trust you.
Right. Yeah. And so thinking of it that way, which we were kind of doing before GMA, but I found myself doing that a lot more lately, is educating clients on what we have to do and why, and timeframes, and just helping them know that we know what we're doing, and we truly are the experts in what we do. So,
have you feel
not a specific client example, but overall example there.
Yeah. No, appreciate that. Do you feel like you've grown in clients then over the last year?
I don't know that we've grown in clients, but that we've grown in the quality of clients for sure. I think we have less people in, at least recently, less people questioning cost.
Yeah.
Over quality of what we're providing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Obviously we're still going to get people that think we're overpriced, but there's been quite a few lately that just, we give them our price and they say, okay, let's do it. And so to me, that tells me something's changing, because it used to be the opposite, is we get more pushback on cost than just us knowing what we're doing.
So your value must be coming across to the customer.
Must be.
Because price is just, people use price as it's a complaint. It's not actually an objection.
Right.
So if you're sharing the value and you're more expensive than the guy down the road, but they're talking to you, it's because they see the value in what you're delivering.
Right.
So that's good. So
I must be doing something right then.
Pardon?
I must be doing something right then.
Yeah. So keeping an eye on things like that is really key, because then you start seeing trends and then you can repeat trends.
Gotcha.
Like, right, okay, this has happened again. Okay, we need to just keep an eye on this. What's happening with this?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. How much is GMA worth to you?
From the dollar standpoint, it's worth every penny for me so far because it has opened my mind to so many things that I didn't know about that have, honestly, whether I know it or not, have changed the way we do things. Because it changes like I said, it changes the way we, at least for me, changes the way we talk to clients, changes the way we market ourselves and the business. But I truly think that going through this class has helped understand all aspects of surveying or business period, and know and build a better business, whether it's geospatial related or not. It helps you build your business to some degree.
Yeah. So would you recommend it to other surveyors?
Definitely, yes. Definitely.
What advice would you say to someone looking for help with their marketing?
Reach out to Elaine. She knows what she's doing.
I'll take it.
I don't know. There's so much out there that I didn't know about marketing in general. Like all these books that you recommended and podcasts and stuff. There's so much information out there to help. But if you're focused, if they're wanting one thing or if they're wanting to focus on like one type of marketing because of their type of business, especially other surveyors, then I think GMA is a great start because your modules or your classes are related to what we deal with. You know, you're talking about road construction, you're talking about developers and clients, and not just market this equipment or this one service. It's think about your client base.
So last question. Our profession is somewhat skeptical when it comes to hiring marketing consultants, agencies. What would you say to others looking for outside help?
Do it. just do it. Especially if you don't know where to start, just hire somebody to help you. Because that's what I did by joining GMA, because I didn't know where to go, or what to do necessarily, but just taking that leap and doing it has helped. And whether it's you and GMA or some other outside marketer, you just got to take that leap of faith, and most likely it's going to work out, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you very much for your thoughts, and I appreciate your time.
Well, thank you very much.